Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. Welcome to the Volquest podcast. I am Eric Kane, alongside Austin Price, Grant Ramey, and Brent Hubbs. A lot on the docket here today with baseball happening right now, football topics continuing on here in the offseason. It'll be SEC Media Days before you know it. Basketball continuing to expand its staff. Recruiting, big weekends coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So we got a lot to talk about right here on the Tuesday morning Volquest podcast. Let's go ahead and start with baseball right now, Brent Hubbs. And obviously, this baseball team is trending in a direction that you don't want to be trending in. They've lost 5 of the last 6 weekends. They've lost 4 straight. They've lost 4 straight rubber matches. They're 2-5 in rubber games this year. It just feels like any type of momentum you have at certain points in the weekend, it just kind of gets evaporated, and little mistakes continue to beat Tennessee. And Tennessee's offense, for the most part in the last 5 weeks, though I thought the at-bats were much better this past weekend, not able to overcome some of those mistakes, and that was another case here for the Vanderbilt series loss.
Well, Tony Vitello mentioned it finally on Sunday. When you kind of went through all of his frustrations of Saturday and his frustrations of Marcus Phillips, and you got past all of that. The one thing that stood out to me about Tony Vitello's post-game deal on Sunday is he acknowledged that the margin for error for this team is small. And that's something baseball fans, that's something this baseball program hasn't experienced over the past 3 or 4 years. They could overcome poor fielding. They could overcome poor base running. They could overcome not getting a sacrifice bunt down to move a runner over because you weren't worried about manufacturing runs. You were playing for big innings. You were mashing the baseball. You had depth on the mound. And right now with this team right now, their margin for error is really, really small. And the result of that is they're not winning close games. And those rubber matches, for the most part, not all of them. I mean, the LSU one was a run rule deal on Sunday, but a lot of those rubber matches have been very winnable games. I mean, you've been in it, and you just couldn't finish it. You couldn't get the timely hit. You couldn't get the critical out you needed out of your bullpen. And again, or you booted the ball around. Grant, when your margin for error is small, as it is for this team, nobody plays perfect, but Tennessee has to play a much cleaner brand of baseball than what they're playing right now.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. It's maddening to kind of watch. I mean, Eric, it's got to feel like Groundhog's Day every time you go out there because of the runners left on base, the lack of situational hitting, the throwing wide to first base, the lack of answers out of the bullpen. Like, there's a lot of talented pieces on that roster, but it's not fitting together for whatever reason. It's not clicking the way it could click or should click. They just have a lot of questions that they can't answer, and it feels like they're not getting any closer to those answers the longer this kind of plays out. I mean, it feels like you could just plug in the opponent, and it feels like it's the same series playing over and over every weekend, and it's the same stuff that's happening, which is, obviously coming off a national championship and what Tony has done with this program, it's kind of crazy to complain about it to a certain extent, but it's also like, just make the simple plays, play cleaner baseball, and they could win games.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, Tennessee had 6 errors this weekend where Vanderbilt had 1. Tennessee left 12 men on base on Sunday. On the weekend, Tennessee left 22 men on base. Vanderbilt left only 11 on base. I mean, you're never going to play a perfect baseball game. That's never going to be in the cards. But if you play a cleaner version of baseball, maybe that margin for error isn't so thin and you can overcome some things. But, Austin, Tony pretty much said it on Sunday night. I mean, you got Liam Doyle that goes out there on Fridays, and he's a warrior, and you usually combat with another warrior on the other side, and he gives you everything you have, and Tennessee gets off to a good start throughout the weekend, and he kind of doubled down on Sunday night as well, talking about Saturdays, how they have to be better. He said, quote, "I don't give a shit who's out there pitching or playing. It's just got to be better." To me personally, he doubled down on it this weekend, so I'm not saying it's impossible, but I mean, like, if you pull Marcus Phillips from a starting rotation, like, his biggest issue is managing the run game. So what gives you the confidence that putting him in there in high leverage situations out of the bullpen with runners on base is going to be any better, right? I mean, he's been a really good pitcher for you. He's just not managed the run game, and that's an issue. I'm not acting like it's not an issue. What does Tennessee do with Marcus Phillips? Does Tony actually make a move there on Saturdays, or is that more frustration stemming over from him not covering the first base bag in the 4th inning that spiraled for him on Saturday? Because clearly that is what set Tony Vitello over the edge with Marcus Phillips this weekend.
Everything. I mean, it's kind of like, my kid playing AAU basketball this weekend, and there's an and one, and the kid misses the free throw, and the other kid just got the rebound and then tossed it back to the official, thinking that it was a 2-shot foul, right? I mean, like just no awareness of what's going on, and I'm trying everything under the sun, and that's different lineups, and he's obviously done that, right? I mean, he switched it up pretty hard on Sunday with where everybody played, and gave a kid his first SEC start, and different things. But I mean, I'm trying some different things in the pitching lineup. I mean, look at what he did a year ago on Fridays. This unconventional, start a kid for 13 pitches, and then bring him out of the send Stamos back to the bench and bring somebody in out of the bullpen. I'm doing anything and everything to try to figure this out. And I don't think it hurts at this point. Nothing, continuing to drop 2 of 3, continuing to lose these close games, lose the rubber matches. I'm doing anything I can to kind of flip it, no matter what that is. And he's played a different lineup the last couple of weekends. He's batted differently, right? I mean, he's moved up, a couple of kids top of the lineup with Fisher and Keelan going 1-2 after Dean Curley batted leadoff for most of the year. They're trying different things, and I think you just got to continue to try things and see what happens this weekend on the road at Arkansas. They go in as the heavy underdog in that series, and that may work out well. You can tell they're trying to generate things, right? Like Fisher's home runs on Sunday. He was trying to generate juice, right?
Yep.
I mean, he's talking trash going to first base, rounding first base. Even the second one, when he was more mundane, he was trying to fire him up at the dugout to get something going. And so they're trying to figure it out. They just right now don't have the answers to the test.
Brent, you and I were texting about this on Sunday afternoon, and I completely agree with that point, Austin. I mean, Fisher's home runs, he was literally trying to provide a spark. I mean, he was talking his trash. He's never one to ever hide his emotions, but when he got to the dugout, firing up his teammates, yelling to the crowd, "This is our house," just trying to get that place, to let its, to blow its top a little bit. But Brent, you and I were texting on Sunday afternoon. I mean, this is they're heading into game 53 here tonight on the midweek, with Belmont. So you're trying to figure some things out, move some things around and everything. But Tegan Kuhns, at some point you got to stop babying him, man. He was at 48 pitches the other day. And sure, Colin Barzy was coming up to the plate, who took him deep the at-bat before. And I recognize the margin for error, and that's when Tony made that comment. I get it. But in the same sense, I mean, you're trying to get to a bullpen that's been incredibly shaky the last month plus. Go off script a little bit. I mean, 48 pitches, 5 strikeouts, 1 walk, one earned run, 1 unearned run. They got to quit babying Tegan Kuhns, whereas they throw Braden Krenzel in there and they'll throw him in to hell and back. If they trust him with anything, it's like they don't trust Tegan Kuhns. For me, that was a frustrating part of Sunday's game in terms of the pitching plan for Frank Anderson and Tony Vitello.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I think they're scrambling, searching for answers, and I think sometimes maybe they overthink it a little bit. Tony kind of acknowledged that. Hey, you're trying to stay one step ahead. I don't know that you had to stay one step ahead there, so to speak. Back to your point on Phillips, okay, if you take him out, who's going to pitch on Saturday?
Yeah.
That was my thought as well.
What's your answer? I mean, it's not A.J. Russell at this point. You mentioned, where you are with Kuhns. I mean, he's not going to get you very far. I mean, you can't Johnny bullpen it for 2 days in the weekend.
You can't.
It cannot be 5 guys pitch on Saturday, 5 more pitch on Sunday. I mean, somebody's going to have to get you deeper into the game on Saturday and Sunday, and whatever that looks like. It's past time to figure that out. I don't know, other than to tell Marcus Phillips, man, you got to learn how to hold a runner, and you got to, you got to give us 5 innings. I mean, we got to get into the 5th with you on Saturday. And I don't know that they have a lot of answers, and I don't want to pick on people or call out guys or whatever, but I mean, they're just not performing the way that they need to perform. And again, there have been years where they've gotten themselves in trouble in some middle inning relief on Saturday and Sunday, and their offense has bailed them out because they've hit 7 home runs against somebody's Johnny bullpen on a Sunday afternoon, right? Or they've done it on a Saturday. They run the starter early on Saturday, teams trying to save a bullpen, and they just beat up and turns into batting practice, particularly at home. That's not what's happening with this team. So it's a combination of, yeah, you got to pitch it better, but then you've also got to take advantage of some other teams' bullpen, and they're not doing that because when you look at this batting order, man, it is a struggle when you get to about the 6th spot. I mean, 6 through 9 in this batting order right now is just not giving you a lot. And so you got to score runs in small increments, whereas Tennessee fans are used to, the 9-hitter having 12 home runs on the season, and batting 300, or whatever. And they're just not that team. And that's why they have to play a much cleaner brand of baseball. And they got to throw it better than they've thrown it in years past, particularly in middle relief, and trying to get to the 9th inning in your closer.
I don't think this late in the year you find answers. Do you? You just hope you get a good draw for the postseason, and you hope you can kind of get hot when the time's right. Because you're talking about 53 games in, and you still got questions. I don't think you're going to answer them at this point. You're just going to hope it works out right in June or May and all that stuff. The postseason.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of are who you are at this point,
right?
But that doesn't mean that you can't get hot. I mean, there's still incredible talent here on this team. I mean, this is still a top 150 draft prospects. There's plenty of them on this roster right now. You can get hot and play good baseball, but I mean, at this point, Brent, you kind of are who you are 52 games in.
Well, I think you have to be careful that if you start making a bunch of stuff this late in the year, does it adversely affect you trying to find answers? Does it send Marcus Phillips, if you move him around, does it send him into a further tailspin? Does it mess with him? If you start moving guys around in the batting order more than you've moved them around, how do some people respond to that? Same thing for the infield deal. I mean, at some point you have to say you are who you are. These are our best 8 guys, and these are our best pitchers, and we're going to go play. And Marcus Phillips, you got to throw it better, right? and we're going to have to ride a little longer on Sunday with some guys, whatever the case may be. I don't know how much you can mess with guys, Austin, and I think you disagree with me here that it doesn't start to get in somebody's head that you're moving them around and things in the middle of May.
Yeah, I mean, the golf team kind of went through this year. I mean, like Brennan had 64 different lineups, and it's been very underwhelming. And as we said here on Tuesday, I mean, they were leader after round 1 of the NCAA regionals, and he just kind of kept moving stuff around, just trying different things. And a kid, Christian Pardue, had the individual lead after round 1. Again, we tape this on Mondays. Point is he wasn't even anywhere to be factored 2 months ago. So I guess for me, it's what's this team's ceiling if you don't make changes?
I guess my question is, what changes are you making that you haven't made? I mean, how many different lineups is it?
Well, the lineup thing is right. You're right on that. It would be pitching for me. It would be. Do you?
And again, who are those options?
Theoretically, just sitting here right now, the only thing I can think of, AJ Russell had a fantastic relief outing.
I'd start him, and then I would bring in Marcus Phillips.
If you're going to start him, then bring in Phillips. That's what I can think of. I mean, Tegan Kuhns deserves to pitch more, but obviously they don't trust him to do that. Nate Snead's a starting option, but I mean, clearly your role with Nate Snead is to come in and do short spurts at the end of games. I mean, there's just not a whole lot of options, to be completely honest with you. I think with the lineup, though, you saw designated hitter on Sunday, Blake Grimmer. I thought he looked really, really good. Jay Abernathy, I didn't like. I talked to Tony after the game on Friday, and he essentially said the splits are the reason Jay Abernathy was the DH on Friday. But he got to look there. Chris Newstrom got to look there, over the weekend. But I like Blake Grimmer in that role. They got to get Gavin Keelan going again. Gavin Keelan's had two weekends where he's not hitting the baseball. And, to everybody's dismay, Dean Curley was the best hitter this weekend for Tennessee in terms of average, him and Hunter Ensley. So having Dean Curley hit pretty well in the middle of the order is a good sign for Tennessee. But regardless, they just got to play better at the end of the day. And, we'll see what happens. What we do know, Grant, is you look at those Field of 64 projections, and by the time this podcast goes live, there'll be a couple out there that are out there with On3 and D1 Baseball and Baseball America and all that. I mean, Tennessee's playing for its hosting lives right now in terms of a regional. You're going to Arkansas, a place where the Hogs have won 9 of 10, okay? Tennessee hasn't won in Arkansas since 2015, albeit they haven't played there many times. But as Austin pointed out, you're very much the underdog. You're going to be playing for your hosting lives this weekend, and, of course, in Hoover, what you do there. There's going to be a lot of talk. You got to block that out, and, the team that obviously plays better on the road than it does at home has got to get to work.
You think they could fall out of the top 16 seeds? Is that what you're
Yes.
telling me, based on how this goes?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. If they lose this series on Arkansas, I don't think they'll be a top
And
16
then,
seed.
well, what has to happen with Arkansas and Hoover to kind of solidify that, in your opinion?
Again, I'm no expert. We'll see what the projections say. They're not out there yet at the time of this recording. But I mean, don't get swept at Arkansas. Win a game or two in Hoover, and I think you'll be fine. Maybe don't get swept at Arkansas. Win your first game in Hoover, you'll be fine. I don't know. I just think that if you losing a potential regional hosting bid is absolutely on the table, especially with a series loss this weekend.
And a ton of work to do to be in the potential to host a super regional.
Oh yeah, tons of work. I mean, you would need to win this series and go on a run in Hoover, in my opinion, for sure.
I mean, you're not that far removed either from having the LSU series where you got a gem of an outing from Liam Doyle and then blew it. And then Marcus Phillips gave you a really good Saturday start, a game you won. It's the losing at home. I think that's losing on the road in any sport, basketball, football, baseball, like that doesn't affect people. It's the loss of series at home, not losing games, loss of series and multiple series. Well, they lost 4 series at home now. On the year. They lost 4 total games at home a year ago. Like, I mean, that's what has got everybody bothered. Like, it's not losing games. This is baseball. You lose games. It's the losing series at home. That's what's got everybody, I think, kind of, all up in arms.
I think that LSU series in particular, because that 8.5 innings Friday night was really, really good, clean baseball. Liam Doyle was great. Saturday was great. Marcus Phillips, what you got out of him was great. And then Sunday was kind of everything that this team has been in terms of just not having that answer on Sunday, or not having the bullpen answers. And then obviously the ninth on Friday night is what this team can be as well. Just the same as that first 8.5 innings was what this team, ceiling wise can be, how good they can be, how clean they can play, versus what happens when a couple things fall apart.
Yeah, I think the thing at home that stands out to me, and again, pitching certainly a part of this, and we've talked a lot about pitching, but you score 5 runs against Vanderbilt on Sunday, 6 on Saturday, and you say, okay, 6 should be enough to win, right? But I mean, this is a team that mashes the baseball pretty much at home. Auburn on Sunday, you score 1, and that 11-inning affair, you scored 5 and left 5 on the bags that you didn't execute. You only scored 1 on Friday at home against Auburn. Kentucky, their last 2 games in that series, you scored a total of 3 runs. For the quote hitter ballpark and all that stuff, they're not scoring at home either. I mean, their pitching's not been good enough. I get that, but I mean, this is a team that you look at them at home in SEC play, Eric. Through the years, they probably average 8-9 runs a game in SEC play, and right now they're putting up some 3 spots and some 1s and 4s. I mean, this is it's not like they're losing a lot of 9-8 games or 10-9 games or 10-8 games, that type deal. I mean, they're just not hitting it very well. They're not helping their pitching out, particularly on Saturday and Sunday either.
Vanderbilt is one of the worst offenses in the SEC statistically. I mean, they're bottom 3rd. I mean, we're talking 13th, 14th, 13th, 12th, 14th, 15th.
A lot of small ball.
Yeah, and I mean, they came in here and they outslugged you. They came in here and outscored you and all that. I mean, that sucks, to be honest with you. I mean, it really, really does. And it just kind of goes back to that margin of error thing. I mean, I think on Friday night, and Tony kind of said this one of his media appearances, I think it was Saturday night, it's like Tennessee was clearly the better team on Friday night. Yeah, I felt it. I think everybody in that stadium felt it. Everybody watching felt it. But you look up and Tennessee wins 3-2. It's like, holy crap. Like, you got this incredible effort by Liam Doyle. I thought the at-bats were good. I thought there was a lot of good things, but you still only won by 1 run at 3-2, and that's just kind of, to your point, that's not been the case in recent years in terms of this offense for this program.
Well, I mean, and again, it's a different team, and right now they're in a different headspace than they've been. I mean, you sit here and look, I think they had runners in scoring position yesterday in their last 3 innings, including having the bases loaded in the 9th.
They had a guy, they had the tying run at second with no outs in the 8th inning, didn't get him in, and then they stranded the bases loaded in the 9th to end the game.
Yeah. I mean, they're just not getting that play. They're not getting that hit that they have I mean, how many games have they come back and won the last few years in the 7th through the 9th, where they were down 2 runs and all of a sudden somebody, parks and you look up and they win by 5 because they've hit 3 home runs between
1-7 now.
Do I?
I think they said they're 1-7 Hubs. To your point, like after 8, like they hadn't had any come from behind wins.
Yeah, I don't know that number there, but the point is they have had a bunch of those and they haven't had those this year. And again, it's a different team, and you're just late in the year. I don't know what you can, what magic formula there is other than some guys just got to play better. I mean, and I think that's kind of where you are right now. It's a little the window's now, right? Like you're getting ready to be in a world where there is no tomorrow in postseason play, and we'll see how these guys respond to it, because
Eric,
I think that's the question.
Eric, this might be a dumb thought, but do you think this team could have been better kind of following that model last year of seeing what you can get from whoever on Friday night and then having some more answers in terms of pitching later in the weekend?
That's a great question, because a lot of people wondered, why, last year, why not move
Beam to Friday?
Yeah, move Beam to Friday. Instead, you kept him on Saturday, and but you were so good offensively, I guess, Eric. On Friday night, you thought you could beat their ace.
Yeah,
you had a chance to beat their ace because your offense was so good.
And that's the thing.
It just kind of feels like. Go ahead, Eric.
I was just feels like you had a historic. You had a historic lineup last year. With the Burks and the Simos and the Amics and the Tiers and the Dry. I mean, that's historic. I mean, people on the board all often put up the stats of those guys from last year and the stats of this guys, and it's like, well, why aren't we getting this? I mean, that was historic, literally. Yeah. So you're able to overcome a lot of that. But I'll say this. I mean, talking with Frank Anderson after the season, and I mean, Tony mentioned it a couple of times last year, like, that irked them, that they did not want to do that pitching plan. They were kind of forced to do it. Frank Anderson did not want to do it. They love having a guy like Liam Doyle, like the warrior, the competitor, obviously a skilled pitcher, to kind of set the tone on Fridays. But it's just you don't have that offense to kind of overcome that. Sorry, Grant, I was jumping all over you there.
No, that makes sense to hear that kind of explained. And also, at the same time, talking about that draft class, they kept flashing the graphic of that draft class, just listing all those picks. And it's like, no wonder this team is struggling, because you lost a crazy amount of talent.
Yeah.
And
you did. And again, struggles is a little bit of, I mean, it's not like this, right. This sort of here's I think where most people, and AP, I cut you off, I'll let you go here. Here's where I think a lot of people struggle. It doesn't feel like this baseball team is any better May 12th than they were March 30th. And I think that's where some frustration lies with people. It's just, it doesn't seem like this team has built the way Tony's teams have built through the season in recent years. Even taking a historic year out last year, even the previous years, that was a team that was better in May than they were at the end of March. And I don't know that you can say that about this team.
Much like it was 2 years ago when they started slow in SEC play, got swept at Missouri, so on and so forth, and they kept building and building. And then by the end of the year, they were really good, right? I still think that the start to the season, Eric pointed this out on the last podcast, or maybe the Monday or Tuesday one last week. The lack of tough scheduling before conference play started, it set a bad narrative because you were undefeated, right? Like last team in college baseball to be undefeated, coming off a 60-win national championship season. It just set a bad narrative for the fans. And then when things all of a sudden weren't perfect, it just, kind of spiraled to this point.
I'll tell you somebody, and we can move on real quick. I'll tell you somebody that's not happy, and nobody's happy over there in that program right now because of the way they're playing. But I mean, Hunter Ensley is steaming right now. He was hot at the end of the game. He was hot all day Sunday. I mean, he came back for this extra year, and he's doing everything he can. He's leading the team in RBI. He's hitting over 360 or whatever. He's having a phenomenal year. He had a phenomenal weekend, and Hunter Ensley's hot right now. He's upset. This means something to him, and so. Can you take that? We talk about leadership, lead by example, all that type of stuff. And what do you make of that? This is a new season coming up. You got a final weekend of the regular season, and then it's go time. And there is no tomorrow, to Brent's point. So where do you go from this? And I know nobody wants to hear this right now, but I mean, this team still got loads of talent. There are a lot of good baseball players on this team. So, teams can kind of flip a switch. Teams can kind of go on a run, kind of get hot. Tennessee's hoping to get hot at this point in time, but obviously ending the regular season at Arkansas going to be a challenge. And then we'll see exactly kind of where everything lies in Hoover heading into postseason play. Shifting gears here, let's quickly touch on a couple of prospects and recruiting that Tennessee's been after for a while. Tennessee continues to have positive dialogue with. 865 Live is coming up. Austin Price, what's the latest here with Zach Groves and Savion Hyder?
Zach Groves and Tennessee continue to trend really well. Wouldn't be surprised if he pulled the trigger here soon. And, Tennessee's been in good shape there for a while. He's got official visits set up, but at this point, I think it would be surprising if he took the visits. Tennessee and Coach Chop have done a fantastic job with him. And the best thing about him, Brent, is he's young for his age. I mean, he won't turn 17 until August, which means he'll be 18. He'll be 17 when fall camp begins when he gets to college, and kind of like Rodarius Jackson. And that's a good thing. Darnell Wright was the same way. I mean, they're only going to get better because they kind of started, in a era where everybody holds their kids back. Some kids actually get pushed through early, and he's one of them. So I think his best football is still ahead of him. As for Savion Hyder, Tennessee's working hard to get him to campus for 865 Live. I think there's a real possibility he does make it to town for 865 Live. Tennessee's hit rate on kids that make it here for 865 Live and then turn around and take the official visit a few weeks later has been pretty good. So the more of those guys you can get here, the better, especially ones that you have high on your board. Hyder, obviously, the top of the running back board for Coach Sims and the running backs.
Joey Aguilar is expected to be on campus this week. Austin, you dropped that note over the weekend. Brent, what's that mean? How did this come about? It's classwork and all that. I think you graduated from App State, but more importantly, what's this mean? If he gets on campus this week, what does that mean for Joey Aguilar in terms of getting to work? I know there's no practice right now, but there's plenty of work to be done.
Well, it's two things. One, you're trying to meet some of your teammates who are going to be in town. Some will be leaving, but you want to get to know some of your teammates. And, you're in a window where you're not going to any classes and you're not worried about anything. You're trying to get settled in and move, and you're just watching film. I mean, you're trying to learn all the terminology you can learn. You're trying to play. I mean, if you're Joey Aguilar, you're not interested in really outside of your teammates meeting anybody in Knoxville right now. You're just wanting to spend the next 2.5, 3 weeks learning as much terminology as you can to put yourself in a position where you don't feel miles behind Jake Merklinger and George McIntyre when everything gets cranked up on June the 1st. And then you're starting to, apply yourself with your teammates and build some camaraderie there. And, your actions are what speaks right now, not your words. And I'll give Joey Aguilar credit, Austin. I think he's done I think it's a really smart thing. He put out a graphic, and that's it, man. I'll see you all in Knoxville. We're not doing the world tour. I'm not coming in on the white horse to save anything. I'm rolling into town to get to know my teammates and go to work. I think that from a PR standpoint, I think that's been a really smart move, but by Joey and his team to not do a bunch of stuff, to act like he's this savior coming in to be, quote, Nico's replacement and all that. Just come and go to work. And I think that is a smart move by Joey.
I agree. I mean, he's just get in here and go to work. It ain't about him. It's about the team. He's going to be in the fight of his life trying to learn the offense, learn the terminology, know where to go with the football, learn what it's like to play for Josh Heupel and Joey Halsley in such a short amount of time, and beat out guys that have at least been here for 6 months, and in Merklinger's, stance, been here for a year and a half. And so he'll have to hit the ground running. So I think it is smart to just kind of lay low and, don't get all the eyeballs on me. Just kind of lay in the weeds as you compete.
I think it's pretty fascinating too, Grant. I mean, and this was not his plan. Obviously, he went to UCLA and it was going to be the quarterback out there. But man, what a stroke of good fortune for Tennessee that he stays enrolled at App State as an online student and gets his degree from there, so he can drop the classes at UCLA in the quarter system and get to Tennessee ready to go instead of being here 4 weeks from now. I mean, I don't think he was planning on, hey, let's keep this option open in case I transfer again. He probably was just so close to his degree at App State. He just stayed in those classes to finish. But, man, in doing so, him being here the week of May the 12th as opposed to being here the week of June 14th is a significant benefit to his chances of winning the starting job at Tennessee.
I mean, time's of the essence. It's hard enough to transfer as a quarterback during that April portal window because it feels like you're already so far behind the 8 ball. I mean, we saw how little movement there was with quarterbacks in that window because of the timing of it. So yeah, every single day, every single hour that you can have to take advantage of at your new school is going to be huge. I don't know who gave him that advice, if it's just him that did that on his own or whatever, but whoever made that decision, Tennessee owes obviously a lot of thanks to, because it's going to make a big difference. I mean, you can't take a day for granted trying to learn a new system like this guy stepping in trying to learn. Hubbard, was the white horse a reference? Were you quoting Revelations, or was that the rider dressed in black on the white horse going east to west? West
Well, I didn't mow my yard on Sunday, so that's a positive.
There we go.
Right?
Progress.
But yeah, it was riding east to west on the white horse in a black suit to get that mountain divorce going on, right?
Joey buried two tail feathers of a chicken hawk.
That's exactly right.
So
Back
Joey
to you,
Aguilar is
Eric.
going to be on campus this week, and as Brent and Austin, everybody just pointed out, I mean, just monumental in terms of him and trying to win the starting quarterback job to get an extra month's worth of work. And it's not like, I mean, you can't watch huddle film and everything from afar, but there's a difference being on campus, being in the room, talking with people, doing as much as you can.
Throwing
Obviously,
with
you
your
can't be out there on the
receivers.
field. Say what?
Just throwing with your receivers. Any
Yeah.
of them still in town.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be huge for him. We'll see if it pays off. A couple more topics here before we say goodbye. A couple more minutes left. Is the 9th SEC game coming to the schedule here in the near future? Reports out there from The Athletic last week that ESPN is willing to pay anywhere from $50 to $80 million more for that 9th SEC game. Brent, you put a note on the board. Hey, if that's the price, doesn't matter what's going on, it's going to happen because that is a whole lot of money. But when you can join that with, obviously the playoffs are going to expand. They're going to go to 14, maybe even 6, probably even 16 here in the near future. That 9th SEC game might not be as big of a deal with the playoffs expanding.
Well, in terms of its impact, it you can probably get in with 4 automatic qualifiers if that's where they go ultimately with the college football playoff. Then yeah, from a coaching standpoint, you feel like you don't have to be undefeated the way you have had to have been undefeated through the years, Grant, to be a playoff team. But when you look up and you see the Big Ten's payout to their conference teams is higher than the SEC's payout to their conference teams, and we all know you're in a war chest race right now. It's not a facilities race anymore. It's a war chest. Who's got the most money to spend? The SEC's not going to leave money on the table. I just don't think you can afford to leave money on the table. And that, if you're an AD and a school president, that's how you're selling it to a coach who might be reluctant about another SEC game. It's like, well, here's where we are. We need this money for rev share and all those other things that you need to win. So I think it's inevitable a 9th game's coming.
I mean, you have 80 million reasons why it's going to happen. Yeah, I mean, yeah, what you're saying is obvious. The SEC is not going to get outbid. They're not going to lose a money war with anybody, especially Southeastern Conference football, because that's just the way it is. I mean, they're going to be the biggest, most powerful, most financially successful conference in the sport, because that's just how it's going to be, because that's the way they carry themselves. And you know what? Bring it on. If you're expanded to 16, I'm cool with 9 games in the SEC because of those 4 automatic qualifiers, whatever people are talking about. And not it's going to take anything away from the regular season, in my opinion. Like, you can afford to drop some games, but it's also like we saw in the first year of the 12-team playoff. There's going to be people paying attention to Ole Miss at Florida in late November, because that's going to affect the 10, 11, 12, whatever the last few teams getting in
Late
the field.
October, Grant.
What did I say? November, October?
I'm just saying, like, it starts as early
Oh
as
yeah,
October
for
now.
sure.
It's awesome.
There's so many other games like we saw in year 1 of this thing where it's expanded, where you're paying attention to it because there's a lot of bubble teams.
Do you guys? I mean, do you like the notion of it being at the end there being a play-in game?
I love the playing game for this. So if there's 4 automatic qualifiers, I love the playing game for the 4th and 5th team. 6-3, but 4-5 rather to get that last spot. Like, I mean, this past season it would have been what Alabama and South Carolina or Ole Miss or one of those teams. I mean, yeah. Sign me up. That'd been awesome. That'd been much better than watching. I just think that it's I think that there's a ton more intrigue there than maybe just a conference championship game, to be completely honest with you.
I would play 2 play-in SEC games in Atlanta back to back instead of a SEC championship game. Crown your champion in the regular season if it's,
like 1990, like it's 1990.
Or just like the softball SEC the tournament this past year, right? Then no championship game, everybody gets a crown.
Well, I just think that, I mean, what did you have in the ACC, right? Where you felt like, the ACC championship game was a play-in game, right? I mean, and in some ways, it's kind of what that felt like. I mean, more eyeballs are on that game because there was a real
right.
The outcome meant something as opposed to the Georgia-Texas outcome in Atlanta. Yeah, it's for a trophy, but it didn't really. I mean, maybe it affected seeding, but it didn't feel like it affected a whole lot. I think you have to preserve, in order to preserve that weekend to make it what you want. It's got to have a bigger impact than 2 teams that are automatically already qualified for the SEC or for the college football playoff, and they're in a coronation game, if you will. I mean, do you think Georgia enjoyed playing that game? They lost their quarterback at the half. So
it essentially gives you another round of the playoffs. I mean, that's awesome. Right. Like that's so cool. I mean, especially in this region of the United States, this conference, I mean, you'd eat that up. Ratings would be through the roof. Again, if that happened this year in the Southeastern Conference when Alabama's squaring off against, I don't have the standings in front of me, I apologize, whether it be South Carolina or Ole Miss, I don't know which one it would have been. Probably South Carolina and Alabama. I mean, that would have been awesome. That would have been so cool to kick off the month of December. Sign me up for that. So I would be all for that.
Yeah, I'm curious to see kind of where that talk goes, as opposed to, obviously there's going to be some blowback on the 4 automatic qualifiers by some other conferences, but Grant, I don't think those conferences have any juice, so it's going to be basically what the Big Ten and the SEC want to do, and I think that's, from a money standpoint, that's where you're going to end up landing.
I mean, it's the SEC and the Big Ten's world, and everybody else is just living in it. Like, whether you like it or not, they can take their ball and go home, can they not?
You're lucky to be here. Be quiet.
Yeah, I mean, essentially that's kind of what this boils down to. And again, both those conferences are trying to make more money. The question is, when you go to that level of playoffs, Austin, in that many teams, I mean, what's the restructure for the TV deal? How much more does that change the financial? But again, we're trying to make it a level playing field across the board, right? Isn't that what the new commission that Nick Saban's going to be a part of is? Everybody's supposed to get an equal chance, whereas the reality is it's just going to increase the haves and the have-nots. It's just going to further create that separation. And that's inevitable at the rate we're going right now. And it's always been some haves and have-nots. It's just now much more public with the haves and the have-nots than it was 15 years ago.
Good luck to Nick. Good luck to Nick getting that changed where the kids don't have all the power and taking it back to when he was running roughshod over everybody when coaches had more power.
I did see. I think it was Fran Fraschilla. Did you see that tweet? Anybody see the tweet from Fran Fraschilla this week where he was talking about the transfer portal, and he said, his proposal, and he recognized that it wouldn't go probably, but the proposal he had, everybody gets 5 years of eligibility, which we all think is going to happen anyway, and then you have one free transfer. One free transfer. You can be eligible anywhere you want to go. You can transfer one time. And you go anywhere you go. If you transfer the second time, you get a set.
I think that's the play.
Do what?
I do think that's the play. We've been saying this. It's not the money. It's the ability to go anytime you want to go.
Right.
So taking the grad transfer out, though, it's just one time universal?
I didn't see him reference the grad transfer. His point was, let's try to prevent somebody from playing for 4 schools in 4 years.
Sign me up, please.
I just don't know if you're going to win that battle in court.
And there lies the problem. That's why I said good luck to Nick.
Once you've given all that leverage, Grant, how do you ever change and revert back and take leverage away? I think that's the hard part of this.
I think I saw a record for a logos on a graphic Monday morning. Duke Miles, the Oklahoma, Texas A&M. He has Troy, High Point, Oklahoma, Virginia, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt, because he's apparently now going to Vanderbilt. But I think that's got to be some kind of record. My proposal would be, if we're talking proposals, you get one free transfer. You can leave. You get a second one if your coach leaves, if your head coach changes. There's no need for you to be, held there if the head coach is gone. And then if you have 5 years of eligibility, if you take care of your academics in 4 years and you're a grad transfer, then you can leave. That's up to maximum 3 transfers for one kid if all those factors played in.
Over a 5-year period.
Over a 5-year period.
Let,
Like if you take care of your academics years 1 through 4 and you want to leave, then you've earned that right.
let's just go to collective bargaining
There we
and
go.
eliminate the whole name, image, and likeness, because they're never going to put a cap on what someone's name, image, and likeness can earn. Let's just go to salaries. Make them employees. Tell them they don't have to do anything but just work out like they've always done as employees and move on about our way.
But they're still going to pay. There's still going to be name, image, likeness, marketing dollars on top of that cap. That's never going away. Getting paid, whatever to do some autographs. I mean, those things are never going to go away. I mean, there's always going to be that ability for somebody to make more money than somebody else. And that's, and I mean, I don't disagree with collective bargaining, but that's not going to take marketing dollars away. Now, the question is, do you ever legitimize the marketing dollars at the college level, which they have not been able to do? I mean, the NFL, a bunch of guys make a lot of marketing money, but it's legit marketing money.
Correct.
Is it ever going to be legit marketing money? And are you ever going to have a governing body in there to make it legit market money? Or is it just going to be, hey, whoever can pay the most is who pays the most? Plain and simple, which is where we're at right now. Do you ever truly get away from that? I think is the question.
Who's going to star in the Volquest.com commercial to air, make it a YouTube ad so everybody can see it? Who's going to be the spokesperson?
It was going to be Brent Austin, but they decided to go with Colton instead. And
I know. What a missed opportunity there, man. I mean, big time. Brent Austin, that would have been an all-timer.
Are there any Eric Robb commits prospects out there?
That guy's a 2-star. He probably didn't get any looks.
All I know is if somebody ever came up with the nickname _, that guy would make so much marketing money here, it would be out of control, right?
No doubt. All right, out the door, Grant Ramey. Tennessee has a new basketball assistant, kind of shuffled around some roles. A very intriguing staff, if you will, when you look at it from kind of a different lens. A couple old guys, one young guy, nice little blend there. What do you like about this new move?
The experience. Rick knows what he wants, and he knows he can make a coaching hire very quickly. So for him to bring in somebody, it feels a lot like kind of the Greg Polinsky kind of role in terms of experience, in terms of some guy that he's worked with in the past, that he knows kind of who he is, what it's about, how it's going to help the staff. And they have expanded staffs within the last year where you can have like up to 5 assistant coaches by title. Only, I think, 3 can be out on the road recruiting at the same time. But, Steve McLean's a guy that Rick knows well, obviously, and has been around a lot in both of their careers and crossing paths and stuff like that. So Lucas Campbell changes roles, changes, I guess, job titles more than anything. I think he's had a lot of success in terms of what he's been able to do behind the scenes for Tennessee basketball. So it's kind of a little bit of an upgrade for him as well, and it's a chance to add an experienced guy to your staff, and you can't have too many of those guys. So I like the move.
And again, still keeping one slot open. I know that Rick Barnes thinks it's going to go to 15, but nothing's changed there. Still one slot open right now, so probably no movement for at least right now.
Yeah, there was some talk that maybe Tennessee had reached back out to the Duke Miles kid after he had reopened his recruitment from the Texas A&M stuff. I don't think Tennessee ever really went very far down that road. That might have just been agent bluster in terms of who had reached out to the kid or not. I think he landed at Vanderbilt on Monday, so that door is closed. Not that I think anything would have came of it, but it does feel like they're going to keep that spot open and see what happens down the road. And if they get to the point where it's 15 scholarships, then they'll adjust from there.
Yeah, when's Jordan Gainey going to recommit or put out that new graphic?
If I had that answer to that question, I'd be making a lot more money.
Yeah,
I'm not that smart.
No doubt. A lot going on right now with Tennessee recruiting, Tennessee baseball, Tennessee football conversation, and basketball conversation year-round on the Journal's Quarters. $1 for 7 days. Come check us out. Hang out with us if you're watching and listening to us right now, but not members. Just the tip of the iceberg. Come be a part of our online family, the best in the business covering the University of Tennessee. And it's $1 for the first week. Come check us out. That's at Volquest.com. For Brent Hubbs, Austin Price, Grant Ramey, I'm Eric Kane. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Tuesday morning Volquest Podcast.